Good evening, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Enjoying some of the nice weather now that spring has officially arrived in the full sense of comfort. Of course, I know it's tornado season, and there's a lot of people having problems with those, but we shall survive. In the meantime, hoping everybody is taking care of due diligence in this new age of information. And tonight I specifically wanted to talk about the W-9 form for IRS that you fill out for your employers. And basically what it is, the W-9 is a form that allows you to put a mark to declare one thing: exempt. E-X-E-M-P-T, exempt from levy. This is a term in the IRS code, and when they say exempt, they mean exempt. The problem with that is that, again, it's a government form, and when we look at information on the IRS.gov site, it tells you that if you're liable for an income tax, that you're to fill out 1040 forms. And if you're familiar with 1040 forms, you realize that there you are. You're familiar with the fact that 1040 forms are voluntary contributions. They're not actually levies. So think about this stuff when they use these words and everything, and understand the words that you're using. Because like I explained in a couple of videos in regards to billing statements and coupons and stuff, when we look at those billing statements and we see those words contributions and how they're constructed on those coupons, we see how the things tie together in regards to that exemption. Because again, with your utility bills, that's a levy. It's a levy, and you are, by your employment status, when you fill out a W-9 and put exempt, I suggest you do so as what they classify as a sole proprietorship. But then at the bottom, maybe where you check that mark or mark that box, maybe put like a asterisk mark to highlight it, and then down at the bottom continue with your asterisk mark and put a little note: affidavit in support of exemption status attached and incorporated herein. Now what you've done there is you've gone ahead and used one of their government forms, which I don't always agree with, but in certain situations you can use them, but make sure you amend them. And so when you amend them properly and you attach and incorporate herein an affidavit that you can then put in your own words, clarifying that you're not actually what they consider a sole proprietor, you're actually exempt under various classifications, one of which they call a national. Okay, here we are again. So anyway, you can, like I said, in that affidavit, attached and incorporated herein, put things in your own words. Make sure you know the words you're using, though. And that's why I say, everybody knows the old adage about the KISS saying. Keep it short, stupid. I don't like short and stupid. I like short, succinct. So when we make that little affidavit, all you got to do is just make an affidavit attached and incorporated herein with one simple statement. that you're an American national according to various classifications that cannot be denied. And proof is evident in the Social Security account as you are a card holder. You're not the account holder. You're the card holder of the person that holds the account, who is a subject to the person incorporated that holds the pooled account, who is doing business under contract with the United States under the massive pooled account called the Public Charitable Trust. So understand this stuff, people, and realize that the W-9 is an important form that you really need to understand. You don't have to pay taxes. You're not responsible. You're not liable. You are exempt. Exempt from levy. Okay, now one of the important things I want people to understand about this W-9 form when you claim exempt in operation of law, and this is why I say attached and incorporated herein, an affidavit. An affidavit, unrebutted, stands as truth in law. Okay? So now when the IRS accepts that W-9 with the exempt status with an affidavit attached in without rebutting it, they acquiesce to truth in law, and once you've attained that, they can't come back and say, well, you owe us taxes here or here or here because you failed to file. Or you failed to continue to put in a W-9. Okay. Sorry about the interruptions, folks. We got storms going through here. So anyway, like I said, that W-9 with a affidavit in support of exemption attached and incorporated herein pretty much makes it a lawful document. And when we do that and we use that operation of law, like I said, an unrebutted affidavit stands as truth in law. And if they try to come back at you for taxes later on, after that W-9 has been submitted and acquiesced to, and let me point out, the reason that they put that exempt status on there is because they know people are exempt. Okay, and again, that's also why they say if you know, on their IRS government site it says if you are liable for income tax, fill out a 1040. Why would I fill out a 1040 if I'm liable and then just give a contribution? Wouldn't that say I'm still liable for what I didn't pay because I only contributed? Think, people. And so, again, back to the W-9 and the operation of law, when you attach that affidavit incorporated herein and they acquiesce to it, that's proof on and for the record, and it is sustained through employment records. Okay? Once they've acquiesced, accept your acceptance, or accepted your exemption, now both the IRS and your employer have copies of that W-9 as well as yourself. So now you have three people that are keepers of records, and the IRS can't deny it. So now once you've proven that they've acquiesced to your exemption, they can never come back on you and say, well, you're not exempt now. Because you can always maintain private capacity. Because you can always maintain private capacity. Always. And this is the important thing. That's why in that affidavit, like I said, one simple statement. I conduct all of my affairs in a private manner under my own powers of contract. And this is why I am exempt. Something like that, something to that effect. And again, like I said, once they've acquiesced and it stands as truth in law, then and when it comes to that affidavit, make sure that you give one to your employer, as well as keep an original copy yourself, as well as a couple other copies in case you have any future need for them in any kind of court actions. So remember that, people. That W-9 is a powerful instrument if you use it. And if I was a betting man, actually I kind of am, but if I was a really serious betting man and wanted to bet the house, I'd be involved in commerce. But I don't. I contract verbally for a fair exchange of goods and services for goods and services that I privately discern for myself, between myself and the other private party. And that's the importance of that W-9. It separates you from the public. It proves that you're exempt because you're a private individual, a private man, period. And that anybody that wants to try to rebut that with me, you're going to have a hard time, because I'm going to break down every goddamn fucking word. I'm going to ask a question about every word. And if I can't answer it myself, I'm getting pretty good at them. But I know I'm not perfect. And so I say, if I can't answer it myself, I'll call in a professional. Exactly, Matt. That's what I'm trying to explain. They cannot, when you mark that exemption box on that W-9, they cannot rebut it. They cannot rebut it. The only way they can rebut it is if you use a specific number that's not in accordance with their exemptions. You can be exempt as a non-resident alien, and give them an employer or employee identification number. I can't remember which one it is. But I think it's an employee identification number. I'm not sure. I really don't care, because I'm neither. So I don't need an EIN. And then some places say that your taxpayer identification number is your Social Security number. Let me help you figure that out. That is not a taxpayer identification number. A taxpayer cannot obtain a Social Security account. Ask the IRS. Call them up or write a letter to the commissioner of the IRS and ask them, can a taxpayer obtain a Social Security account? Nope, can't do it. So think about this stuff and realize that when they tell you this number or that number, you have to quit identifying with numbers. Now you can feel free to put that Social Security number down on there under that sole proprietorship. But like I said, make sure that you write a quick little affidavit, attach it, and incorporate it therein, so that they have understanding that that Social Security number doesn't have to do with you. It has to do with your person. Okay? It's not you. It's your persons. That is the entity. And you are the private individual with a person for conducting affairs with or in public. That's all it is. But your status is still private. And therefore you, yourself, are exempt from levy, no matter how you look at it. Anyway, I hope this helps some of you people figure this out, because that is, like I said, it's a powerful document if you give it the power. Now, again, like I said, they're putting exempt on there because they know that you are exempt, and then they don't rebut it when you put exempt unless you put the wrong number on there. So make sure you know what you're doing. I suggest everybody use the sole proprietor. If you look up sole proprietor, I'm gonna post some information right after this video on the W-9, and it's going to tell you in there what a sole proprietor is according to the IRS and WEC's legal dictionary. And that's the classification I would suggest everybody use on that form. But again, attach and incorporate therein a affidavit affirming that is their classification, while you still remain holding of a private capacity. Period. Your books are not open to the public. Period. Any of them. So think about this stuff, and I'll go ahead and post that that note about the W-9, and hopefully you guys will read through that and get a little more comprehension on this, and realize you are not taxable. You do not make an income. You earn what is rightfully yours, and specifically, income is defined when you use financial instruments to invest, and then you get a return on that investment called dividends. Okay, that is an income. You put something out, and you had something come back in. That was derived in the same kind of form as what you put out, and that is a debt instrument. So if you put a debt instrument out in investment to make a profit, and you return a profit called dividends, that is income. You owe taxes on that. But when you go to work and you invest your time and energy and your efforts, your labor, your movements, you're investing of yourself, and that return comes back to yourself. There is no third-party intervener. There is no third action or secondary action from those efforts where you invested into something else. Learn about this stuff, people. I urge you. It's all fraud. Like I explained, they claim that if you're liable for income tax, here, fill out these forms, and they only list 1040s. Well, if you're liable for income tax and you're convincing me to fill out a 1040, I'm going to tell you to shove it up your fucking ass. Tell me I'm going to be liable for income tax and then give you a contribution? Come on. So think about this stuff, people, and really, really start to learn to comprehend the words they're using against you. Exempt from levy. Period. Anyway, if it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing this. Here's to you.